Okay, I think it's all working. Well, welcome, guys, to an art business workshop. That's what we call them. And my name is Patrick. As stated, I run the marketing department here at Art Storefronts. And let's assume for a minute, okay, that on this Zoom call, as well as that are ones that are watching on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, we have a diverse group of artists and photographers from all walks of life, all niches, all geographical areas of this country and others, varying ages and levels of experience. And I also like to assume that because you're here and you're on this call, all of you want to try and figure out how to better monetize your creative talents. And for some of you, that might be to sell your first piece. You've never sold anything. For others, it might be to turn a hobby into a side hustle. For others, it might be to go from side hustle into something resembling a true business, right? Or a full time job. Or some of you are like, I want to retire one of these days and I want to retire onto my art business. So there's always a bunch of different scenarios. A lot of times we get people that had a business that was rocking and then COVID came along and poof, it just blew everything up on you, right? Like your revenue source is just obliterated. And is diverse, is that whole group that I just mentioned, is it turns out you guys all have one thing in common, which is really, really amazing. And to put it bluntly, you all suck at your marketing. None of you are doing it consistently. You all have a marketing problem. How do I know this? I've been doing this for a long time. Okay. I talk to hundreds of you guys week in, week out. I've been doing that for better part of a year and a half on these Zoom sessions, as well as having discussions with my customers. And, in addition to that, one of the things that I do is like anytime somebody puts in a demo request is like our test drive. It's like fill out our form and like we get your websites. I study your websites and I study your social media. And almost no one is doing anything in terms of marketing. No one is doing anything consistently. And the biggest problem that everyone has, that befalls absolutely everyone in this business, is, to use an analogy, you have a boat, okay, and your boat has a few holes in it, okay. Everybody is working on plugging the holes that is letting in one drop at a time, and no one is working on the thing that's flooding your boat. The thing that's flooding your boat is the marketing, right? Which artists and photographers just at a macro suck at, and we can just get that on the table. It'll speed things up as we roll along, okay. um, in addition to me doing this for like a long, long time, we're a little bit different in the sense that we're like sort of an activist company and that we partner side by side with our customers on a regular basis to run case studies and the like. I myself have directly been involved selling hundreds of thousands of dollars of art this year in various different marketing initiatives and Facebook ads and sales and live art shows. So I say that to say I know what I'm talking about. In addition to that, like I said, I talk to hundreds of you guys week in, week out. Between you guys and my customers, I get a very, very good idea of what's going on in the industry. What are the biggest problems? What's preventing you from taking the next step, right? And then as a final, which kind of gives us like a leg up on our competition, so to speak, is we have 5,500 or so customers at Art Storefronts. And myself, members of my marketing team, we make it our job to study the successful ones, okay? And we don't just like study the successful ones. We start with like a who, what, and how approach, right? Like we look at our entire customer database. It is diverse. It is crazy. It is all over this country and others, every subject matter imaginable, all over the place, right? And we instantaneously say who is the most successful. We go laser right in on them and we study everything that they're doing. And then we study the what. What are they selling? Are they selling originals? Are they selling commissions? Are they selling prints? Who's selling the most commissions? Who's selling the most originals? Who's selling the highest price originals, right? We zoom in on all of that. Who has the highest AOV, average order value? Then we look at the analytical data and it's like, how did they do it? Did they do it from a sale? Did it come as organic traffic? Or are they doing the show and fair circuit, right? Are they running live art shows and all these various different things? How many Facebook followers do they have? How many Instagram followers do they have? And I think when you combine all that, it sort of gives us a unique perspective. And I feel like, we have a very, very good bead, a very, very good understanding that's backed up by data and real human beings actually like thriving in this business, on what it takes to actually grow a creative business. And so the purpose of this presentation is we sort of need to set some parameters, some ground rules, some things that you need to nod your head with, call them premises on how you need to approach this business if you want to be successful. Okay. And don't take it as a sales pitch. It's not. I don't care if you ever sign up for us. I don't care if this is the last time you ever have any engagement with Art Storefronts or not. There are some things that if you want to be successful as a creative, you simply must get right. Okay. there's a maxim that applies to investing, and the maximum goes like this: you don't have to get a whole lot right as long as you don't get a whole lot wrong. And sort of the concept is, if you start investing when you're young into your retirement account, and you're not placing wild bets, right? You're not gambling on this thing or that thing or the other. You're just investing into mutual funds or whatever, and you contribute regularly throughout the course of your life, you're going to be fine. You're going to have plenty of money for retirement. You're going to do great, right? You don't have to get a whole lot right. You just can't get a whole lot wrong. Well, it turns out there's a set of circumstances that apply to being successful in this business, and so many artists and so many photographers are breaking them. So the point of this presentation up front is to kind of school you on what we believe that those things are, get you thinking about those, get you nodding your head, get you saying, okay, that does sound reasonable, that does sound okay, I'm on board, right? And then from there, the next step is, assuming you're interested, is we do a demo process. The demo is such a stupid word. Oh, come and get a demo. It's a test drive of the car, okay? The software, the marketing, everything that we do, it's a 1-hour Zoom session with you and somebody on our outreach team. So we get through the premises, which are, a layer above, and then you can get into the test drive after. But we can get into that as we roll along. A couple quick programming notes. Number one, I'm going to be throwing links and websites and videos and PDFs at you as this rolls along. My team, April and Juan, will throw some of these links into the chat. There's like a little chat button at the bottom of your Zoom bar. So sometimes, if you're following along and you feel like you want to click on it, you can certainly do that. But after this whole thing is over, I'm going to email you like a web page, and on the web page will be the video in case you want to watch it, replay it, whatever, and you miss some of it, whatever the case may be. And then underneath it will be the links to all the various different things. So if you just want to cruise and do whatever and listen, don't feel like you have to, write anything down or the like. Not that I'm not flattered when I see people taking notes. Okay, it's flattering. I enjoy it. All right, so those are the programming notes. We'll get right into the presentation, and then on the tail end of the presentation is when we open it up to Q&A. Anything and everything is on the table. It's usually the best part of the session. Really, really fun to get into all your unique and individual circumstances. So to sort of explain, the business model and what you need to focus on and the premises, whatever you want to call them, I have created what I call the art selling pyramid. Okay, the photography selling pyramid, and it really is the path to a successful art business in 2021 and beyond, guys. And I stole it. Why is it a pyramid? Stole it from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And if you look at Maslow's example, the idea is that it's a pyramid, and you sort the bottom blocks as you move your way up, right? Like once the bottom block is sorted, then you can move to the next block, next block, next block. Maslow's need, pyramid rather, is, the physiological needs are the base layer. You have to eat, you have to sleep. We all have to do that. We all have to do that every single solitary day. Once you have that sorted, then we can move up to shelter and security and lifting weights, apparently, and money, love, belonging, esteem. Wonderful. Okay. So in our pyramid, the art selling pyramid, the bottom block is attention. And it's important that all of you understand that attention is the currency of the land that we live in. Okay. Now, I alluded to this earlier when I said all of you guys have a marketing problem, which 100% of you do, right? Attention is the currency of the land that we live in. With attention, you can do anything. Without it, you're not in the game. Another way to state it, which is super annoying, I'm well aware, the best art, the best photography does not win. The best art and or photography that gets seen wins. It is not a meritocracy at first on how good you are at your talent. It is a meritocracy at how good and consistent you are at your marketing. Just truth, just facts. And no different than Maslow's deal, okay, about the bottom block being, it's a quotidian daily need, right? Like eating and sleeping. You have to be working on attention. You have to be working on your marketing regularly. And yes, I'm well aware that you don't want to do this, that no one ever does it consistently. Trust me, I get it. Nancy's laughing. I know, Nancy. You don't tell me. I know. Trust me, I know. I've been doing this a long time. Even my customers, the amount of poking and prodding we have to do to get you guys to do this consistently is insane. But anyway, one of the things that I love to say, because it sort of puts, the world that we live in perspective. If I asked you guys, who are some of the most powerful women in the world, how would you respond to that? You know how I respond? It's the Kardashian-Jenner sisters. You want to know why? They understand that attention is the currency of the land. Now, we can all argue about whether you like those gals or whether you don't like those gals or how they went about acquiring that attention. Totally get that. I respect them because look what they've done with the attention, right? I mean, they all have 10, 100, 500 billion, whatever, jets, businesses, the whole thing, all of it. And they have really taken that attention and monetized it incredibly. And the reason I bring it up is to say, if any of those surgically enhanced, well endowed women decided to take up a paintbrush tomorrow or decided to become a photographer tomorrow, they would have a $10 million art business year one, right? And is that fair? No, not necessarily, but it underscores how important attention is. Now, you don't have to be a Kardashian or a Jenner or whatever they call themselves, but understand how important attention is. The next block up has an outer portion and has an inner portion. The outer portion is the business model. Okay, this is you don't have to get a whole lot right as long as you don't get a whole lot wrong. This is where you can get a whole lot wrong. Okay, you have to be selling direct. You have to be selling direct to the end consumer, the person that is purchasing your art, your photography, and putting it on their wall or whatever it is that you sell. And the reason that you have to sell direct is you have to maintain the information on who is purchasing your work such that you can market to them for the rest of your art selling life. Okay. I cannot underscore how important this is. The easiest customer any business to get is the one that they already have. Repeat business is the lifeblood of this business. And you also need to be selling direct such that you can build a collector list. Now, I would put a collector list as the either number one or number two most important metric that exists for an art business or a photography business. Okay. And who did I take it from? This guy. And I read this book super early on in my career, and it's by Weiland. Okay. Weiland is the whale guy. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, he paints the whale murals and stuff, and he has his own retail stores. Apparently, number one best-selling artist in the United States. Not even close. Apparently, not even close. So he talked about it early in his book. And for Weiland, he defines a collector as someone that will purchase 8+ pieces of art from him. So the minute you've purchased 8 pieces of art, you're a collector. Sometimes it goes up to 50, 60, 70. I'm sure he has some at 100. He keeps creating. These people just keep buying and buying and buying, right? And he talks about the levels that he goes to take care of these people, okay? He treats them like they are staying at the Four Seasons, right? The St. Regis. I mean, he is sending them personalized Christmas cards and personalized emails. And himself, members of his team are liking their Instagram posts and sending them direct messages. I mean, he really goes above and beyond. And he gets into the tradecraft on the book. Don't worry, I'm going to send you the link. Yep. And see, this is when I can pull in my live stream. See, what does Katrina say? Fabulous book. That's right. I should get a commission. I've sold so many copies for this guy. I don't want a commission. I really respect him, and it's a great book. I don't mean to mean it the other way, but I want a commission. Weiland, okay? I want a whale painting. Early on in the career, I read about like how important it was, and I was like, okay, that's really interesting. Since then, and I've been doing this for like 7 years straight, studying our customers. I have seen my customers, okay, that take care of their collector list, how they treat it, how often they communicate with it. It starts small, you guys, and it starts with, let's say Joseph here is going to come out with a new series, okay? And he's going to come out with a new series that has 10 pieces in it, and he's going to release that series with 10 pieces in it to the general public on a Wednesday. On a Sunday, he writes an email, and he said, it's to his collector list, and he's like, collectors, patrons, I appreciate you guys so much and how much you've supported me. I just want to let you know I'm coming out with a brand new series. It's about such and such. And because you supported me and I want to honor that support, you get to see the series before anyone else. And what ends up happening at first? 1 out of the 10 pieces sells. So 10% of the art that you've created is sold before it even comes to market. And with some of my customers, no joke, they're at 50 or 60 or 70%, depending on the sale. I mean, 70% of the work, boom, is gone before it even hits the market. And that is solely because they have this list and they've taken care of this list. And it is so profound when you see it happen because, all of you guys, essentially, the artist, the photographer, is just a solopreneur. You don't have an entire team. You don't have a sales staff. You don't have a marketing arm. All right. You don't have shipping and receiving or a receptionist or anything else. And I bring that up to say, you are the creator. And then after you're done with the creations, you are a commissioned salesperson. You go out, you pound the pavement, you sell that work, then you get paid. But if you don't, that work doesn't sell itself, does it? No, it sits. So what happens when you have the collector list is you go from being a commissioned salesperson to being a commissioned salesperson with a base salary. You get paid a certain amount of money for just creating, okay? For just creating, that's it, and taking care of that list. And it starts small. It's year one, maybe it's 10 grand a year. But by the time you get into like the latter stages of your career, call it 10, 15, 20, 25 years in, the sheer amount of art that you're just selling to your collector list alone will end up being staggering. The bonuses and benefits that come with them telling their friends. I mean, I don't know how you make it long term in this business if you don't have a collector list and you're not taking care of it. And to flip the coin on it, it's not hyperbole when I say I talk to hundreds of you guys on a week in, week out basis. Okay. Do you know how many I've talked to that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s that are at the absolute top of their game? I mean, the top of their craft. But guess what? They didn't know this pyramid existed. And I'm not knocking them, right? Like, it was different times. They sold through galleries their entire lives, right? Or they sold through a show and tell circuit, or they had a special deal worked out at a hotel and they sold great and they made an income, and year over year the business was doing great until it wasn't. And then all of a sudden the switch flipped for whatever reason. And guess what? They didn't have a collector list. They didn't even know who was buying their art. And now they have no one to market to. And now they're in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, and they're starting from scratch. That hurts. That hurts, right? But there's a flip side to that coin in the sense that, and I'll get into this on the tail end in perspective, but I'm going a little out of order. Week in, week out on these sessions, people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I'm not kidding, 90s. So I bring that up to say, like, even if you have gotten this wrong to this point in your career, understand the perspective of how much longer you guys are going to be at this. No one ever quits being an artist or a photographer or wanting to do that creation. In fact, it's like the number one career that people want to have in retirement. So you're going to be doing this for the rest of your natural born lives. If you have not gotten this correct, there is still time to get this correct, okay? By which I mean decades and decades and decades for most, right? Decades and decades for some. I mean, I see these 90-year-olds, no joke, on these Zoom calls saying, like, give me some advice. I want to keep selling my art. It's like, what an amazing situation that you guys have. There's not that many people that want to continue in their career after they've retired, right? Like, art is just so unique in that capacity. So, okay. We're working on attention daily. We understand the business model. We're working on our collector list. There are 3 ways to sell art, okay? I believe every artist, every photographer, one, needs to understand that there are 3, and then needs to deploy each of the 3 when the situation calls for it. Number 1 way, best way, trick question, you all know it, in person, face to face. Always has been, always will be, never going to change. You got that one covered. Problem, we are all of us geographically fixed on this earth. We all have to sleep, and we can't have 25 conversations at once, okay? So do you need your art off on a website? Yes, you do. Does the website need to be enabled for commerce? Yes, it does. Do you need to have that sales tool running all the time, solving for all those situations? Yes, you do. Do most of you have these? Almost none. For the ones that do, are they set up correctly? Not even close. We can get into that later. Again, I look at hundreds of these things. So that's the next way. It's on your website. The third way, though, the newest way, the one that I am so excited about, pretty much the raddest development that this industry has had, the most interesting development this industry has had in forever, and it's not even close. And it is exactly what we're doing right now, folks. It is leveraging live video in either a one-to-one or a one-to-many format, okay? First, I'm going to talk about the one-to-one. Let's say I come to Nancy's website, and Nancy has her website set up just like my buddy Jonah here. And where is he? You come to Jonah's website, and he's got book an appointment all over his website. And do you know what people can do? They can schedule a virtual art consulting call, and he puts on the calendar the times that he's available to have a chat, and they can schedule a 30-minute chat. And guess what happens? He gets a ton of these. It is probably the most important metric in his business. And so how would that work in real time? And I was picking on Nancy. Let me go back and pick on Nancy. I follow Nancy, okay, on Instagram, and I'm sat on the couch and I'm bored and I'm looking through the art and I'm like, whoa, I'm looking through my feed. She's posted something like, whoa, this is awesome. I show my wife. My wife's like, yeah, that's awesome. We just remodeled a bathroom, so we have some space. And so what do? I send Nancy a DM on Instagram. I'm like, Nancy, I was scrolling through Instagram and I'm really interested in this piece. My wife and I just remodeled a bathroom. Do you think you could explain a little bit more? You know what Nancy says? I knew you were smart, Nancy. I knew I liked you. Yeah, Patrick, no problem. Let's schedule a Zoom call. You and I can jump on it, and I'll show you the piece, and we can talk about it and everything else. And so now I'm in a Zoom call with Nancy, and my wife is right next to me, and so she has all the decision-making important entities on one call ready to go. And what is Nancy doing? She's holding up the work. and she's merchandising it, and she's talking about her inspiration, which, by the way, is the marketing you should be doing all the time. Nancy, are you doing it? No, you're not. I know you're not. And I'm getting to know her, right? And then all of a sudden, Nancy has a dog, and a dog comes running in, and I'm like, no way, Nancy, I've got a dog too. And my dog comes running in, and we're bonding. And all of a sudden, in one session, I've gone from this artist that I knew in the periphery because I followed him on Instagram to now I feel like bonded. Okay, that is extremely powerful. How many of you have leveraged a video call to sell art in the last 30 days? Don't worry, I'll wait. No, I know. Trust me, I know. It's okay. It's okay. That's why you're here, right? That's why you're here. That's not even the most interesting one, okay? It is. It's interesting. It's incredibly interesting. It's one-to-one. Let's talk about the one-to-many, all right? The one-to-many is one of my favorite things in the world, and is this concept of a live art show, okay? And no joke, we are pioneers on this. And let me toot my own horn while I toot my own horn. We got into these things very, very early. We have run hundreds of them, and they've been incredible. So this was one of the first ones that we ran. This is like long-term best friend. He's been at this company for a long time. Super talented artist. I don't know why he wears the shirts without sleeves. That's his cross to bear in life. But here he is in his garage studio. Okay, he's a painter in Laval, which is in Quebec in Canada. And his garage studio where he paints, and he had a bunch of old stuff, okay, that he like painted 15 years ago that was sitting in his basement. In the middle of COVID, he's like, I'm bored. Let's do a live art show. Let's sell this, right? So he's streaming this to Instagram, to Facebook, to YouTube. We can get into the technical aspects of it later. Showing the pieces. People can ask questions in real time, right? The whole thing. And he ran 2 of these sales. I don't know where the other one is. I got to go to videos. He ran 2 of these sales over a 15-day period. And what he did was he sold 62 pieces for a little bit over $32,000 Canadian. Okay. And when you see results like that, right? Remember when I said earlier that myself, my team, we study the ones that do really successfully? That's a big result, right? To sell $32,000 of art in 15 days without leaving his house, that's pretty extreme. To do all of that without paying a 50-50 split to a gallery, to do all of that whilst maintaining the collector information, right? To do all that with this giant dog on the floor right here. So the point is that we saw that and we're like, okay, that's very interesting. Was that a fluke, or can we duplicate this, right? Can we replicate it? And we've since run hundreds of these things, and I'm not kidding, hundreds, okay? This is the future of selling art and photography, full stop. I can go into all the reasons why it's the greatest thing in the history of mankind. But this is Meg. She's a customer. She's a painter from Kansas City, and she had a studio space in downtown Kansas City, and she was moving out of one to another. And so she had all these excess pieces, and they're not even like full pieces. They're like color studies and like sketches for the main work, and like ripped out of her notebook and not framed or anything else. And you remember what I said about the collector list, okay, and the importance of this? So on this one, she had 82 pieces on the show, and she was running the show on a Wednesday. And on Sunday, she emailed her collector list. The collector list bought 46% of the show before the show even ran. 46% of this live art show. She went on to sell, I think, like 66 or 64 pieces on this one for a little bit over $12,000 US. Again, there were smaller pieces and everything else. Since then, myself, members of my team have, as I said, run hundreds of these in every niche, every part of this country, every subject matter. These people are normal people, guys. They look just like you. They live in houses just like you. They have various different types of work. They are super uncomfortable being on video. Okay, they are terrified of it. They don't have any special camera equipment. It's not entirely true. The photographers have like those insane cameras, and you can turn them into video cameras. So I'm lying about that one. They do have the equipment, but the rest of them don't. Okay, it's very, very simple. And some are wearing gloves and some are not wearing gloves, okay? There is literally no rhyme or reason to how you do this, how awesome this can be. And I have never, and I've been doing this a long time, okay? And I've leveraged every digital marketing technique on the globe to sell art or photography. I've seen it all, I've done it all. I have never seen anything this effective in my entire life. It is not even close, okay? And there's a whole bunch of reasons why that you can do this, why it's so impressive, but this is just a little window into the soul of a human being, and you get to see them in their natural circumstances. And No one's doing this marketing. You're not doing this marketing. No one on this call is doing this marketing, right? You're not letting these people into your world. You're not talking. You're not being vulnerable. You're not showing people that you're a normal human being like all the rest of us with your own quirks, right? And you're having tech issues. This guy's got a garage with surfboards on the wall. Turns out we all have garages, right? We don't live in 55,000 square foot houses that look like galleries. Normal spots, normal people. You could take it with a grain of sand, right, or whatever you'd like to say, because it's coming from me. Let's go a little bit further up the mountain, right? Not a lot of reports in your industry. I like this one. I'm going to send it to you. I think you should check it out. It's a report by Art Basel and UBS Global, which makes it pretty snooty. Okay, this thing surveys the top 1% of artists in the world. Picture artists that are making well over 6 figures a year, many of them up to several million a year, and they have this. It's really cool because you can download the PDF, or they have this like snazzy little website thing that they made, which is what I have pulled up here. And you know that you got these fancy little graphs. And by the way, look at online art sales in 2020. All of this was driven by COVID, but look at the jump. It's essentially like 10 years of growth in 6 weeks, right? And we ain't going back. But what I love about this is staying on the topic of these live art shows of video of one-to-one, one-to-many. And I quote, Chapter 5 looks at the online art market and the rapid evolution in sales in 2021. The chapter shows how the dealer sector shifted sales online in 2020 and at the development of online viewing rooms, OVRs. You know what an online viewing room is? It's a snotty way of saying a Zoom call, okay? It's an extremely snotty way of saying is OVR. Give me a break, like you're using some different technology. An artist or the artist representative or the gallery owner gets on one side and they're having a video chat with the high net worth individual on the other. And art is selling. It's no different than the chat that Nancy and I had. The technology is no different. It could be the OVR in your living room there, Nancy. All right, as far as I'm concerned, online viewing rooms. That infuriates me, but it's good branding perhaps on their part. They talk about how much art was moved over the course of COVID in that capacity, right? So point is, whether you're just getting started or whether you're at the very, very top, the entire art and photography selling world is all trying to figure out how to leverage video and video commerce, live art shows, one-on-one bookings to better sell art and photography. And, you know, it's not hyperbole when I say that this is the single solitary greatest marketing technique and or tactic that I've seen come down the pike in a very, very long time. The fact that you now know about it places you in the 1% of artists and photographers that exist. Okay, I'm not kidding when I say that. Been doing this a long time. It's sort of like if you got to Facebook ads really early, or you got to SEO, search engine optimization, really early, or you started email marketing when AOL just started, right? Like that. Those are the times when these marketing techniques are so insanely effective. It's mind-boggling. But I'm getting off track. Yeah, and as a final, like, you know, just an abstraction of this, because I'm going to show you some different ones. My same buddy had a show in COVID booked, and they let him run it. Okay, this was July 24th, 2020. So COVID was still pretty strong there, and he's in Canada, so perhaps even more so. And the gallery let him hang the show. They let him have the show, social distancing, the masks. Not that many people could come. Very few people could travel. So next day, he found another one of these shirts without sleeves. He got his glass of wine, and we turned the cameras on. And when I say cameras, it was just a cell phone and a laptop. Okay, there's nothing fancy going on here. And what did he do? He walked through the show as it was actually hung in the real gallery. He talked about his inspiration like you would have been there opening night. He showed you the pieces on the wall, right? And you could see which ones had a red dot on them, right? That actually sold. And people were asking questions in real time. And let me tell you, this was the next best thing to actually being at opening night of this show. You felt like you were in it. You felt like you were walking it. People were asking questions saying, can you go back to this one? What was your inspiration? You know, on and on and on. And it's just, you see this, and it's so insanely powerful on how effective, how real it is. And again, the technology doesn't matter. Any of you can do this. We're living in a world now where bandwidth has become extremely inexpensive. The technology on our cell phones are absolutely insane. And that's where we are. So, guys, crazy talented, isn't it? Like the impasto he puts on the pages are nuts. So, absolute future of selling art. We can get into that more as we go along. But let me wrap up my pyramid. Top of the pyramid is everything else. Everything else. So, you're working this thing. You're working on attention. You're selling direct. You're building your collector list. You understand the 3 ways to sell art. You are deploying all 3. You can still work on everything else up here. If you got a local gallery that's working for you, you can have that. That's fine. You can have an online gallery. That's fine. Do I like the fact that it's a 50-50 revenue split? You don't get to keep the customer information? No, I don't. But have I ever met a revenue source I don't like? No. I love them all as long as they're legal. So you can be doing these other things, the show and fair circuit and everything else, right? And again, I go back to this notion of perspective of how long you guys have to get this right, even if you're just getting started today. And cheesy cliches aside, when's the best time to plant an oak tree? 30 years ago. When is the next best time? Today. If you just get that thing right, and then you stay working diligently on your marketing, which no artist ever does, we can get into that, and you look at the amount of time that you have left in your lives, if you get that right, you're going to be building your business year after year. It's going to stop being a hobby and stop being a side hustle, and it's going to continue to grow. It's not going to go spaceship explosion at first. You're going to have to do the marketing, and you're going to have to learn, and that's going to be a bit of a pain in the butt. But let me tell you, if you get that thing right, you stand the greatest chance at success. And you're really putting yourself on the path. And so if nothing else, not kidding, you leave this call now, you don't ever come back here again. You could care less what Art Storefronts does. Get that thing right. You get that thing right, you're on a course. You're on the path, right? You don't have to get a whole lot right as long as you don't get a whole lot wrong. So that's my story. Sticking to it. Where do we go from here? Q&A. So a couple of things. If you're one of the brave ones, so James, Nancy, Artis, Joseph, Debbie, and you guys have a question, you can raise your hand old school style because I'll see it because your camera's on, right? I'll know you have a question. For everybody else, there is a reactions button at the bottom of the Zoom. And if you click on that thing, it lets you raise your hand digitally. You can see that I just did it. And then that kind of gives me a cue to just like work down from top to bottom. Like they have a question, they have a question, they have a question. And then if you don't want to turn your camera on, you don't have to turn your camera on. I totally get that. No, who likes being on video? Very few people, right? So don't feel like you have to. And if you've got a question on one of the socials, you can throw it in there and I will see it. Case in point, one of my customers, Kim, is asking, and I'll just answer this now. So she's asking, what do you think about running a live the Friday before an art festival after the booth is set up? I love it. And then even more so, run one while the show is going on too. That's what I would do. People are walking through that show, and if they see you filming in it, Kim, they're gonna be like, ooh, they're gonna get caught up in the Hollywood paparazzi special. They're gonna be like, who is this gal? She looks really talented, right? Like, I need to know about her. So that's how I would answer that. Go ahead, Joseph, you're up. Oh, you'll have to unmute, Joseph. I'll tell you when you get it. Bottom left-hand corner.
Yep.
Yep.
Am I there?
Yeah, I love this Zoom name, Joseph the Hierophant. What's a Hierophant?
Yeah, it's a Aerophant.
Aerophant.
Yeah, if you Google search that name, it'll pull up my artwork. My thing would be on selling prints, I guess, and I guess that was a question on.
Okay.
So you guys set up the website and everything, right?
Yeah, we do. And then in terms of the way the prints work is we offered POD. POD in this case stands for print on demand. So we are
Yeah, print on demand. That's the way to do it.
Oh, 100% is the way to do it. We're integrated.
Yeah.
We're integrated with a company called Bay Photo on the West Coast, and then a company called Graphic Dimension on the East Coast. They're huge printers. And order comes in, you get paid, printer gets paid, order gets printed, boxed, your logo gets slapped on the side of the box. Joseph the Aerophant. Aerophant? Did I say it right?
Yeah, Aerophant.
Aerophant.
Like heirloom,
Air-
heirloom.
Yeah.
Like a family heirloom. It's
Yeah.
Aerophant. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I like it. It's super unique. And then the order gets shipped to the customer. And do you know what you have to do during that whole process? Nothing. You touch nothing. And you want to know why you touch nothing?
Awesome.
Because you need to give me that time to do your marketing, Joseph. Can't have you working on admin because admin is not going to grow your damn business. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, attention is the number one thing, and that's the truth.
Truth.
And I was surprised and shocked when my artwork was in the top results when you type in my name in a Google search.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's it. That's what you got in terms of questions.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if I go with the you guys helping me get the website set up, I guess you would need scans of all my stuff.
Yeah, we'll walk you through everything to do there. We'll have somebody reach out to you. Just out of curiosity, to what glorious part of this country do you owe that southern twang to? I like that accent.
Oh yeah, North Georgia, North
North
Georgia, that's
Georgia.
for sure.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, good living. I like it. I like it. I'll check.
right,
I'll
right.
check you out. But
No,
I
I like
like.
it.
I really like the concept of the branding that you've got with that. It's good. It's good business right there.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if you can see the. You
Hold on.
probably can't see it that well.
Yeah, it's hard to see
This,
because
th
it's a pencil sketch.
yeah, that's one that I haven't scanned yet. There's quite a few I haven't scanned yet. I've been trying to tell myself, scan these, get good scans. So if anything happens, I'll
Yeah,
have the documents. But
yeah, you got to,
uh,
you got to, and then of course you can reproduce when you do. So we'll have
right,
somebody reach out to you with next steps. And also too, one of the things that will, well, you already know in your case, it's you just scan them. It's pretty easy to do, especially if they're not huge
right.
works. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks,
All right,
Joseph.
man. Thanks.
Okay, got you, James. And then Nancy, I'll get you next. Don't worry. Yeah, you'll need to unmute James. Looks like you're finding it. I'll let you know.
Hi, Patrick. Thank you.
Oh, that's my pleasure.
Uh, I spaced out on the other two ways of selling art. I got live video.
Mm-hmm. In
What
person,
are the other two ways?
in person, face to face.
Oh,
Okay.
that's direct?
Yep. Yep. In person, face to face. And then the second one is, from your website.
Thank you.
Yeah. My pleasure. All right, Nancy, you're up next. And then Debbie, I see your hand too. Don't worry.
Okay, I don't really have much of a space to work in,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd like to get involved with some getting to know my collectors and gather collectors.
Yes.
But is there other ways to do it? But then by doing a video,
Yeah, I mean the video is just one important aspect of it. But when you say
okay.
you're space constrained, what do you mean exactly?
Well, I live in a 32-foot RV
Yeah, yeah,
to my mother, and the one space that I've been trying to renovate, I'm having a hell of a time finding anyone who can do it for me, and it needs, a lot of work
yep.
to make some space for me to have some actual room to do anything that isn't on a computer. So I'm just
Outdoors is calling, Nancy. Outdoors is
yeah.
calling.
Yes.
You can totally do it outdoors. We have a bunch of people to do it outdoors.
Well, for a little while longer, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Until it starts getting a little cold. Yeah, I gotcha.
yeah,
I gotcha.
we're in Eastern Washington, so we
Yeah,
do get a fair amount of snow, and we had our first frost this morning. If you notice my
yeah.
sweatshirt.
See that? So you okay? Yeah. So I saw that look on your face when I was saying summer was ending. Like boo. I guess your camera wasn't on that, but you were saying boo too. Like first frost already? No, no, not ready. I'm not
Okay,
ready. Um,
outdoor
yeah.
possibility.
But yeah, don't worry. The space is not the biggest issue. Like there's lots of ways to hack around that on the edges, and the live art shows are really important, and the live video is really important. But it's only one aspect of the whole thing, right? Like we essentially, we yeah, and Juan's saying like, by the way, we have multiple people that run them in RVs too. We have multiple people that are running them in RVs this week because I have one gal, her name's Muffy. She's hilarious. She's on vacation doing like the snowbird special circuit. Although she's not really a snowbird, she lives in Florida. She's already it's not like you're driving away from the cold when you live in Florida. Anyway,
Yeah.
And she's been doing it, she's been struggling with like the various different spots where she's been camping about whether or not they have enough internet bandwidth to do the shows, right? And I've got her doing them like driving down the road when her husband's driving and she's sitting in the front seat, like holding the pieces and everything else. People love that stuff. They love it. They love to see it. So don't think it's a limitation. But where I was going is, and they'll show you all this on the demo if you get one, but do we offer a website? Yes, we do. What are we really? We're a postgraduate university that teaches people how to grow in art or teaches people art and business marketing, art and photography, business and marketing. That's what we do. So we teach you to market all year long, and it's not just live art shows. They play a role, but how to capture emails, how to email those emails, how to post regularly on the socials, how to run a sale, how to run a live art show, how to do that all year long, when to do what. We teach you all of that stuff. So a lot of it's not space dependent. Don't worry.
And when it comes to content,
Mhm.
uh, are you helpful with that? What direction
Oh, yeah.
we
Oh, yeah.
are
Oh, yeah.
marketing content?
Oh, yeah. We teach you absolutely all of it all year long.
Thank
It really is like the easiest way to think about it is I might as well do the screen share. Actually, I've got it pulled up, but we sort of played around with this landing page a bit. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. Nope, nope. It's around here somewhere. Here it is. Yeah. So like this is like a smattering of some of the courses that we have, and the courses are just literally one small part of it. But what does it say? Everything that they don't teach you in art school. It's so true. Um, you know, the guide to running a basement sale live art show, 6 tips for effective pandemic marketing, understanding metrics. And so we have all of like the do-it-yourself education, and you can check this site out. April or Juan can put it in the chat. But we have all the do-it-yourself education, and then we actually run classes, like normal university classes that are all on Zoom. That are 2 days a week that we put the entire customer base in. We teach you all of the various different things, and then no different how we're doing Q&A like this on those classes. After we're done, it's right into the Q&A, right? And so you can ask questions. You can say like, hey, I'm hung up on this, or hey, I'm hung up on that. And then no different if you like, so you went to the lecture series with the professor and then you had questions and you wanted to go to office hours, you can do that too. And you can go talk to the TA and get support, and they can look at your screen and make sure you're not screwing up. Like, we are a full-blown postgraduate university, except there's no graduates because in modern marketing, the damn goalpost moves so quickly that the learning can never stop. Just how it goes.
Yeah, that I've noticed.
Yeah, I know. It's infuriating. Trust me. Even for me, like when you're like, I am a huge nerd. Okay, huge surprise there, right? Like love technology, all the rest of it. And I'm 42 now, and every once in a while, I feel like I'm losing my edge with these doggone kids, right? Like they're moving a little bit faster than me on the cell phone. And I'm like, no, I'm not willing to let it go, right? I am not willing to let it go. Like I am no. So I'm not giving up just yet, but the marketing is that way too, right? The marketing is that way too. And
I know 10 years ago, I was considered pretty much head of my game when it came to computers and
yeah,
understanding their workings. And now I'm feeling pretty lost. There's so many directions to go with everything.
so many directions to go. That's also like one of those super unfair advantages that we have. And it's not an advantage that we had 3 or 4 years ago. Like it took getting a critical mass of customers. And once we had a critical mass of customers, it wasn't like one-off flukes, right? Like I have enough data in a macro to be able to study what is actually working. And why am I bringing all that up? What's crazy about that is it's more powerful, and this is a profundity, I'm just going to say it a couple of times. It is more powerful what the data tells me that I can tell you to ignore than it is what I tell you to focus on. Because not only do artists, photographers never market consistently, but they go chasing every stupid shiny object that comes down the street. Somebody said this was working great. Oh, go do this. Somebody said invest in SEO. SEO is going to be fantastic. Did you hear about this site? Someone uploaded to this site and they're doing great. And you go and you waste a bunch of time on these things that are never, ever, ever going to work. And I know dead to rights. And so sometimes I find that like, hey, Patrick, what do you think about this site? No, hard no. Well, how? No. Okay. No. Like this just came up recently where everyone's like, what do you think about, setting up our art stores on Facebook and Instagram? And I go, no. Under no circumstances do you do that. And they're like, well, why? I'm getting great data. Yeah, I'm getting great data. No, you're not. No, you're not. I have 5,500 people. I do not know a single solitary person that is making a dime off of doing that. Why would you do that, right? And I'm able to say that conclusively. And guess what? A lot of my customers just got 20, 30, 40 hours of their life back because that's how much they were going to throw down the window figuring out this stupid thing and putting everything up, right? Like, I have never seen a single solitary artist make a dime off Pinterest. For whatever reason, the traffic that comes off of Pinterest does not convert to sales. Do you need to waste any time on Pinterest? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So
Part of the reason I'm here is because I keep seeing this and I see them as just being rabbit holes, and I keep looking for the next thing. At least I haven't wasted a lot of time on them, but I need something that works.
Yeah. You absolutely have to. You absolutely have to. So we can help you, Nancy. Don't worry about your space constraints. Go see the test drive. at least, and then you'll have the whole picture. You can make the call what you want to do.
Okay.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, Debbie, you're up next, and then I see your questions in the chat. Lisa, don't worry, I'll get them. You'll need to unmute, Debbie. I'll let you know when you get it. Bottom left-hand corner, it's like a little mic icon, and if you just click that thing, you should be good. Now, you think there's something else going on? I see you pointing, but I don't know what it is. What I would say, Debbie, is one of two things. If it's not working, it's for one of two reasons. One, you have the wrong microphone selected. Oh, see?
Oh, no, there we go.
See?
Oh, it was saying the host.
Yeah.
And actually, it was saying the host wants to unmute you. And I was
Yeah,
thinking it was
yeah,
saying the host has to unmute you.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I
I
literally.
haven't done you.
Yeah. I literally do this so often, and like it's a 90% success rate. So there was no way I was letting go. Not yet, right? I was like,
Not
come on,
yet.
we're gonna get this.
I've never gotten that message before. It's always just the unmute works.
Yeah.
Hi, Patrick. I have I've just some logistic things.
Mhm.
I've been playing phone tag with Matt for
Okay.
3 days now,
Yes.
trying to talk to someone in person, and I started getting your stuff. And I joined this group late today because I got on my computer late,
Mhm.
and I joined as soon as I saw this, just to try to connect with you. So I have a couple of questions. I've already started an account and started paying with Storefronts.
Okay. Welcome
And
aboard.
yeah, I know. I was really excited. I got lots of people recommending it that are already on it, artists
Mhm.
that are already doing it. I want to join the crowd and do this. But so a couple things. One is I have a website that is almost completely built, and I'm really unhappy with the sales ability on it, and I
Mhm.
really love your sales ability. As a starting point, would it be reasonable for me to set you up as a link for the sales onto the website I have? So that's the first question, is
Yeah,
about
you could.
starting with a piece.
You could do. I mean, one thing I would say just generally. So you've already signed up. You're already a customer, right?
Yep.
We have like insane VIP internal channels and Zoom calls and everything else. This one's for non-customers, which is you're on it now and you've already waited, which is fine. So I'll have you to answer your questions. But there's like a whole like onboarding cycle that we put you through, like get live workshops, marketing launch workshops, where they'll answer all these questions and audit things. And so you probably want to go in there because it's like a super focused attention that you'll get.
So tell me, like, specifically, what do I want to go into? Like, what
I'll have-
what should I do to get
I'll
this
have-
started?
I'll have somebody reach out. You're probably just missing one of the emails or something's disconnected, but we have like, we basically have like orientation for you, right? That you need to go
Okay.
through. Yeah. That'll walk you through it and answer all these questions. That'll make it speedier. But let me ask your last one. I think if that old website is selling anything for you at all, keep it. If it's not, get rid of it and just go straight onto your Storefronts one. If you're like, you have like a service side of the business or some other side of the business, and then you want to put art storefronts on the subdomain, you can do that too, right? Like if your website is debbiebaker.com and you've got some other stuff that you want to keep on there, I might as well do show and tell because it's easier. So we see this a lot of times with photographers, right? Like big photographers, because they have, and I'm trying to find one here. Do I have one? I thought I did. Even my tabs have tabs. I thought I had one. Gosh, darn it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into it, but there are reasons why.
No, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
which doesn't matter. But I keep trying to do my sales through their sales page, and it's so dysfunctional.
Oh, I know.
And
Trust
everybody
me,
says go to art storefronts, go to art storefronts. And
so let me give you
I
this
made that
example.
commitment, but now I got to figure out how to get things rolling and get my stuff in there quickly and get ramped up quickly. And get started with you.
Yep.
And
we'll have
I thought
we'll have somebody reach out and get you on the path. But let me just show you this quickly because I brought it up. Like a lot of people do it this way, right? Like so this guy's a photographer, right? And he's got all these different facets to his business, right? Like he's got projects and portfolios and motion, and he's got stock archive in his diaries and his about me.
Yeah.
And he's had this page for like a long time. And so there's no way that he wants to get rid of this. And so he just has a button on his site in the nav that says Fine Art, and that throws him to his Art Storefronts install. Now, he could have put it on a subdomain, and so he could have said, instead of Tim Lehman, it could have said store.timlehman.com. but he decided to throw it to an entirely different URL. And it's like, okay, here's his entirely different URL, and here's the shopping experience, you know, on his art storefront site. And, you know, if they want to come in and they want to shop, they can do it here. And, you know, I think he's got a link on here somewhere back to his other website too. So you can do it that way. It's pretty easy.
Okay, because that's what I was thinking would be a great way to get rolling, because I just can't get my storefront rolling, and so I just I've got to ramp up the learning curve.
Yep. Don't worry. I'm gonna have someone start calling you today.
Excellent.
Done and done. Welcome aboard. Very
Thank you.
very good time to come aboard too, Debbie, because we have literally 30 days, 31 days. I don't know how many days are in September until the start of Q4, and boy, it's the best time to come on board. No joke, because Q4, biggest art selling time of the entire year, not even close. More art is sold in the fourth quarter, traditionally non-COVID times, than at any other time all year. So we need to get your stuff up. We need to get it on the website. We need to get you moving on the marketing, and then get ready to start running sales like literally mid-October. It used to be civilized back in the day. Like Black Friday actually started on Friday after Thanksgiving, okay? Not anymore. Now it's like late October. We have to like dive into the deep end and like start doing these things. So we're going to be recommending all those things. I muted you so I won't be able to hear you, but I will have somebody follow up. April, just make sure someone on support calls Debbie today, gets her on the path. And yeah, they'll put you through the whole thing. Our onboarding is awesome, Debbie. Like there's sessions and website audits, and they'll make sure you're following best practices and, you know, all that jazz. So that'll be a big deal. Okay. All right, Lisa, you have some questions. I'm going to unmute you. It's just easier. You don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want to, Lisa. You just hit the mute button.
Okay.
Okay, so you're starting with, you have to find a niche, right?
Right.
You don't need to stress about that. You just need, like, lots of people have lots of different niches, and lots of people stress out. And what everyone tends to say is like, I'll just get started when I figure out what my niche is. You're never going to know what your damn niche is. You know what you have to do? Start marketing and trying to sell the work. And you know what might happen?
Okay.
Little bits of all of it might sell, or none of it might sell, or one type might sell. And you'll never know until you start marketing and trying to sell it.
Okay. Because I was reading one of your articles on niches, and it said you absolutely have to find a niche if you're going to do this. And I just can't narrow it down. So
Is that on, you found that on my website? Where did you find that? On our website?
yeah, it was some email that I clicked on some different articles.
Oh, that is so
and was
erroneous. That
one
needs
of
to be
them.
so updated. Yeah, there's like this world, the art and photography world is such a mixed bag. There is literally no rhyme or reason to it. Okay. I have seen everything under the sun. I have seen people sell everything from, no joke, courses to photography to art to sculptures, all on one site, all their creations, and do incredibly well. I've seen people that have the narrowest niche. I've seen people that have everything in between. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. There is no one way to do it. You can pull this thing off any which way you like, and you'll never know. Everyone, like, you know, it's like this, right? Like, and again, if this sounds very familiar to you, it's not because I'm that smart, it's because I talk to hundreds of you. You're essentially a cook, Lisa, and you're a chef, and you're trying all these different dishes, right? And you're trying these different dishes because you're creatively inspired to try them. The problem is you're not putting the dishes in front of 30 people. What you're doing instead is you're just trying this one dish. Oh, this looks pretty good. It was interesting. Maybe I'll come back to it. And then you go and you try another dish, and you don't serve it to anyone. You don't even know what your niche is because you've never tried to sell it. You have to go and take those meals and serve them to 30 people, right? And then maybe everyone's going to say like, oh my gosh, can you make that again? Can you make that again? Can you make that again? You're onto something. Or you'll be like, that was all right. I'm good though, right? And then maybe you never make that one again. And let me tell you, Pablo Picasso, when he died, had 45,000 pieces of unsold work in his inventory.
Oh,
You know, what do you think he was doing that whole time? Okay. He was trying different niches. He didn't know what the hell his niche was. He was here. He was there. He was everywhere. That's a guy at the end of his career that could have sold his signature on a piece of Kleenex for $100,000. 45,000 unsold pieces of inventory. And everyone gets stuck in this like period of thought where like your niche is an arrow, right? And it's like, I'm going to go up and I'm going to fire this arrow. And if it hits a bullseye, I'm going to have a big career. I'm going to be a successful artist. If it doesn't, I'm worthless. This is just a hobby. My mom was right. I should quit and stay with my day job. What no one tells you is how many arrows you fire. You have to fire a bunch of arrows if you want to hit a bullseye, right? Like, don't worry about that. Don't stress about that. The fact that you're working on all these different things is awesome. You just need to get them in front of enough people to know it's actually going to be successful for you.
Okay. I had one more question there
Please.
too.
Yeah, please. What's the second one?
Okay. Can I sell digital art? Is there much of a market for it?
All day long. All day long. All day
Good.
long. Yep.
Good.
Yep. And it's, because it's digital, it makes it very easy to reproduce it, right?
Right.
There's no scanning or photographing or anything else. Those babies are already in the computer. Upload them, you're ready to party. And they can scale to just about any size, right? Like, what are you creating the digital art in? Are you Photoshop, Illustrator?
Yeah, I'm a graphic designer.
Got it.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I love about the digital art aspect, and especially depending on how you do it, is it like abstract type of stuff, or is it people and
All over the board again. Same thing.
Well, you're consistently all over the board, Lisa.
That's
I
right.
like that. Consistency counts or something.
This
right?
started.
Yeah.
This started because my first drawing teacher years and years ago, she said, you have to find a new solution every time you have a problem. And she used to really get on people for always trying to get a style. And so I guess that just stayed with me. But it works for me. So
that's awesome. And the other little thing too, I don't know where these lies come from, but everyone thinks that the work is the entire brand, right? Like in Weiland's case, the work is almost the entire brand because everyone knows him as the whale guy, right? Because he paints these whale murals. But what you come to realize is that guy, that person, is as much part of the brand as anyone else, right? Like everyone knows who this guy is. He's media visible. He's constantly talking. He's showing up at all these celebrity events. So the point is Lisa Bates. What makes Lisa Bates tick? Who she is, where she lives, the things she likes. She's into cats. She hates dogs. Whatever it is, all of that is a part of the brand as well, right? You are a part of the brand as well. And so when you understand that, you worry less about what it is, the work that you're creating, and you focus more on the fact that you got a marketing problem, same as everyone else. Start solving it, right? Start solving it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd say.
Good. That's encouraging.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you, Lisa. Sorry, I have a giant throat lozenge in my mouth because my throat is just going sideways on me today. Juan saying Nancy is up next. All right. Oh, Nancy's back. All right, there you go again. There you go, Nancy. All right, James, I see it. Don't worry, I'll get you next.
All right. I was curious if I ended up just, I'm basically going to have to start off with just an online store, basically. And my experience with the other one that I've tried is that the profit margins are pretty weak. And I'm just wondering what kind of, when you're having someone else produce your work and ship it, what kind of profits can you make from that?
Well, the good news is that you 100% you set the margins, right? Now, do we make recommendations on what you should set the margins at? Yes, we do. We like 250% markup as a starting point, right? And so you take the price that the printer is giving you for the piece, you mark it up 250%, and that's what you sell for. So that gives you a nice cushion, such that when you have a sale and you offer 5% off, 10% off, 15% off, 20% off, you're not destroying your margin, right? A lot of art is moved during sales, so you're not going to have any problems with that. You can set it any which way you like it. Well, that's what we recommend.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Good.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, James, go ahead.
Hi. My my painting business and print business has been increasing somewhat recently, as well as commissions.
Okay.
And I kind of sold the good stuff. I'm under pressure to create
Mm-hmm.
new.
Okay.
Do you think, I mean, at first it seems like being absorbed in the art storefront could make it daunting to seem to manage time to paint. But actually, it occurred to me that the excitement that comes with doing business could fuel the productivity. Do you think so?
Yeah, I find that almost like universally to be true. And let me give you a sort of like a Thor instance. The question everyone always asks is, how many hours a week do I have to put into my marketing? Right. And it's sort of like a crystal ball question. Like everyone always asks me, like, how many hours a week do I have to put in? Right. And it's different for everybody. There's no one size fits all answer. Right. But what I find, I barely have time to create as is, right? Like a version of your question, James. And what I find is once you write the mental check of hours that you're going to be for doing a week, right? And let's just say you've got 2 hours a week to throw at it. That's all you've got. Fine. I want those 2 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, or you can take 2 weeks off for a vacation, right? I want the 2 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. And no one ever does that consistently, right? And once you mentally commit to you're going to do that first entire year, and then we're going to reevaluate, what happens is somewhere around like, and people will tell me, Patrick, I've got a full-time job. The only thing I can give this is 2 hours a week. Okay. That's it. I say, no problem. Give me those 2 hours a week. Okay. Just give it to me consistently. And I keep you accountable, right? Like my team keeps you accountable. Somewhere around month 3 or month 4, some sort of a win happens. Okay. And it could be a small sale or a big sale or a feature on a magazine or something happens in their business, right? And what that ends up doing is filling up the emotional gas tank. And once the emotional gas tank is filled up, all of a sudden the 2 hours a week goes to 4. And I'm like, what are you doing? I thought I only got 2 hours a week. Why are you at 4? You said you only had 2, right? And like variations of that always happen. And it's a roller coaster, this thing. It's a roller coaster. And so a lot of times it happens right when you're like almost at your breaking point. But because you're staying at it consistently, then you get that win and you're like, woo, it's wind in the sails. And that's how the business goes for the first couple of years. It's pretty fun.
Well, thank you very much. I just want to tell you, last night or the night before, I watched this general lecture
Mm-hmm.
given by you,
Yes.
and I sat down and wrote my collector list, and I wrote my patron list,
Mm-hmm.
and then I decided to sell my best painting, New York skyline,
Mm-hmm.
and any minute somebody's going to call me to tell me if he wants to buy it.
There you go. All because you reached out to the collector list?
All because I opened the email.
Mm-hmm. Amazing how that
No,
works.
yes, you're right. The collector list was the key.
I know. It's amazing how it works. That's the beauty too, is like, it's not forever this way, but there's low hanging fruit when you first get started, because none of you are doing this at all consistently. There is low hanging fruit at first, right? So at first it's like pretty easy. There's some wins that you can grab. It gets a little bit harder as time goes on, but there you go, right? Like if you hit the rest of that collector list and you write them all personalized notes, or you write one email to all of them and you let them know you're creating some new stuff, all of a sudden you're gonna find that there's gonna be a residue of success that comes from that just by you executing on the right strategy, right? That's how it works. That's how it works. So
Thank you, Patrick.
yeah, it's my pleasure. And he's a divisive figure, but you look a whole lot like somebody, and I'm sure you get it from time to time. Guy recently passed away.
I'm not sure.
Rush Limbaugh.
Oh yeah, I got that. I don't even know. I'm not even sure what he looks like.
Well, you could use his eye. I'll tell you what he looks like. Look in a mirror. That's what he looks like. Yeah. So there you go. There's that. But thank you, James. That's wonderful.
You're welcome. You can call me Rush.
Yeah. We'll start calling you Rush, the alias. He's super divisive, and I get that he's divisive, and I don't like getting into politics. But you know what? He was also super popular, so you never know. Could be a good niche, right? Could be a good niche. Painter and Rush Limbaugh impersonator James Clifford. Oh, it could be funny. All right, artists, you have the next question. Go ahead, artists.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. I haven't really sold anything for several years. I kind of went through a down slump after my father passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
I've had several people asking me about my artwork.
Okay.
Including some pieces that I've done that I really don't want to sell the original.
Okay.
But I know if I'm going to sell my artwork, I need to sell when someone wants it. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
Would it be a possibility that I could digitally take a photo of that and then sell them a print?
Of course.
I know it would not be as much as the original, but would that decrease the value of the original if it's in reproduction as a print?
No. Or
even some sketches that I've done that are family oriented for like greeting cards and things that people have asked about?
No, not at all. And that's another one. That's another one of these like nonsensical lies that like people are running around like, you can't sell print. It's going to cheapen the work. Okay. Now let's do Starry Night. How many Starry Night prints are on the damn walls? Okay. What is that painting worth? So that print market really destroyed that one. Next, do the Mona Lisa or any other famous work, right? Like, give me a break. Like, all it does is increase the value of the original, period. End of sentence. I get so infuriated. But as somebody, I want to work on this little exercise with you, artist. If somebody says, I want some of your art, I'm interested in the original, I want you to reply. Cash, check, Visa, or MasterCard, Venmo, PayPal. I take them all. Let's go. Give me the money. Give me the money. Sell that work. All right. Those pieces have got to go out into the world, right? You got to sell. Okay. Yes. Okay. Go with your other question.
Okay.
Oh, you had another question, you said?
No, I'm good. You answered it with your commentary. So very
wonderful. I knew it was coming.
Whatever you want to call it. Our discussion.
Yeah. I knew it was coming.
I'm good.
But you know, there's like, anytime somebody says like, I want to buy your piece, be like, done. Let's go. I want to sell it. Right. That was another thing Picasso said. He got interviewed. He was like in the tail end of his career or somewhere in the peak of his career, somewhere like that. And some young charcoal artist interviewed him, and Picasso said, you know, early on, like the guy was like, what advice do you have for me, like a young and up and coming artist? And Picasso said, early on, my pieces did not, or my drawings did not command high prices, but they all sold. Your work must get out into the world, right? And so there's subtlety in the advice. The advice is like, you have to work on selling it, and if it doesn't sell, then you'll never know that you're on the right track, right? And so when somebody's asking you, like, I really am interested in this work, I'd like to get this work, you instantaneously need to go to the sale, because that validation tells you you're on the right track and like will keep you motivated, right? And the danger in it, okay? Let me just find out if anybody on this call is guilty of this one. Everyone tells me my work is beautiful and it's amazing, okay? Every time I post new works, I get tons of likes and comments and shares. I've entered photo contests 3 or 4 times, and I've won Best in Show awards. I just got juried in an art show. I'm a juried art show artist, to which I will reply, I am driving to your house. I am going to pick you up. We are going to drive to the ATM machine, and you're going to show me where on that damn ATM machine it says likes, comments, and shares. Where on that ATM machine it says, everyone tells me my work is beautiful. Where on that ATM machine is, I was in a juried show, okay? I don't give a damn about any of that. My job is to have you make an income from your creations, right? And when somebody is saying, I want to buy, that is no different than someone walking into my store and saying, does this come in my size? I jump up and say, you better believe it comes in your size. Let me show you what I can accessorize it with, right? Get in there and sell it. You'll never know. You'll never know until they actually go for it. So you got me ranting. You got me ranting, artists. Okay, guys. Any other questions? I'm running out of steam. My voice is running out of steam. As a final, what do I usually say as a final? The demo, the test drive, awesome. An individual, except for you, Debbie. Okay, Debbie, you still hanging around? We better get Debbie on the phone immediately so she can get going. I want to get that website up before Q4. We should talk about Q4. We do need to talk about Q4. If you go back and you look at any of the marketing that we were doing at Art Storefronts this time last year, and then you went back 2 years, and you could literally scroll back on our Facebook post and you could look at it. You could scroll back in our emails and look at it. You could scroll back on the Instagram post. It is bang the drum incessantly about how many days we have from now until the start of Q4. And why? Because it is the biggest art selling time of the year. The difference between those that do well in Q4 and those that do not are the ones that show up. And so few people even show up in Q4. What do I mean? You have a sale. You actually do something to promote the sale. So whether you sign up with us or not, please do not let Q4 go by, right? It is the one time a year. It is the one time of year where an artist or a photographer needs to get their work in the water, needs to get a sale in the water. If there is one sale you run a year, this is the sale. This is the sale, okay? It's coming. Now, will you do significantly better if you do some normal marketing before you have the sale? Yes, always, okay? But do not let this one go by. Do not let one that's potentially going to come with more COVID lockdowns go by again, because we're all spending time indoors. We're all sick of the white walls and have to actually do something and change it. So that's coming up. Starts literally in 31 days or 30 days. So assuming what I've said today has piqued your interest, you're like, okay, these guys know what they're talking about. You should look at the demo. Look at the demo, schedule the demo, see the software, see all the bells and whistles, understand the marketing, the pricing, see if it's for you. At that point, you've got all the information to make a decision. If it's sign up, great, sign up. If it's not, I want all of you figuring out how to run a doggone sale this Q4. Do that for me at a minimum, okay? The difference between those that are successful and those that are not. And look, James is selling that original right now. James is selling the original right now. Can you see him on the Zoom grid? Get it done, James. You see, artist making the sale, okay? Making the sale. All right. So that's what I would say. But thank you all for coming and hanging out on the session. Enjoyed it. Some good questions. We'll get the email out to you probably, I don't know, an hour or so, and we'll have the replay and all the links so you can check that stuff out. Other than that, thanks. Appreciate it. Hope to see you guys on the inside or outside or somewhere. You know, come say hi.